Good evening, Feliz Cinco de Mayo. It's 7 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you. Mr. Greg David,
Present.
Tyler Dean,
Here.
Emily Hamburg,
Here.
Brandon McIntosh,
Present.
and Mike Proctor.
Here.
And you have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you. This evening, we have Dr. Lindstedt from Sunrise Christian Academy to lead us in prayer.
I'm going to read some encouraging verses, first from Psalm chapter 34. I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul shall make her boast in the Lord. The humble shall hear thereof and be glad. O magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, and we thank you for your goodness. We thank you for your blessings. Thank you also for your protection of our military during this time of impending war in the Middle East. Father, we pray that you'll guide our president and his staff as they make decisions that impact our entire country and the whole world. Father, we also pray for guidance for our city fathers here in Bel Aire. Guide them, we pray. Bless them and their families for the time they spend on our behalf. Heavenly Father, tonight we ask you to protect our first responders, the firemen, the policemen, others who serve in a servant's capacity. Father, again tonight we ask for a special blessing for our students that are getting ready to graduate. Guide them as they make decisions for colleges and careers. Father, we ask tonight that we might be a community that has families, individuals, and government working together for the good of all. Again, Heavenly Father, we want to thank you most of all for salvation that we have through your Son, Jesus Christ. We thank you for his death on the cross, that through faith we can have him as our personal Savior. Father, we pray these things and ask them in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please join me in pledge of allegiance to the American flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is determine agenda additions. Do we have any agenda additions?
Mayor, the only thing I'll note is we added some minutes to the Planning Commission to the packet just before the meeting and laid a hard copy on everyone's desk.
Okay, thank you. So we will be going through a few of these scripts tonight. So if you could take some time to review those. I don't know when the right time to do that is, but we'll work through a couple things here, then we'll give you a chance to review those minutes before we move on. So next item is consent agenda. We have several items on the consent agenda. Let me get my notes back up here. In addition to the minutes of April 17th City Council meeting, the agenda also contains development petitions and resolutions for Spring Pines development. The petition set the upper limit for the cost of the improvements, and the resolution authorizes the improvements. These costs will ultimately be bonded and special assessed to the benefiting lots. I'm glad to see these are on consent agenda because previous times we've gone through these one by one. Takes a long time.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. McIntosh.
I actually just have a question. Is this
Certainly.
typical to see for improvements to developments, to see them on petitions like this? Or is there a more typical, I don't know, is this the right way to do it?
Yeah, I guess
It's more typical. It's what we do pretty much on any new development. You don't usually see them all at once like this. Sometimes you'll see one, and then a couple weeks later you'll see another one. Like one, you'll see one for water and sewer, another one for streets, and another one for, and so they'll come more piecemeal. But when a developer is very motivated and more aggressive, you'll see them more all at once, but that's the way it normally, that's kind of the typical way. If there's a better way of doing it, I don't know, because unfortunately it's the only way I've ever seen it done. So if others have other ideas, we're certainly welcome to entertain them.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed and authorize the mayor to sign.
I'll second.
A motion by Mr. McIntosh, a second by Mr. David. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is discussion and approval of appropriations ordinance. So this appropriation ordinance encompasses expenses from the April 15th through April 28th. Expenditures amount to $885,962. No infrastructure costs for new developments were paid during this period.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Dean,
I move we approve appropriation ordinance number 26-08.
A second.
motion by Mr. Dean, a second by Ms. Hamburg. Any questions? I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item on the agenda is city requested appearances, and we have none tonight. So we'll move on to citizen concerns. I have no request for citizens to speak, but I see several people in the audience I do not recognize. So if you are a citizen, you'd like to speak to city council, you certainly may come to the podium and speak. And if not, we'll just move on to council member reports. So Ms. Hamburg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Attended the April 23rd Chisholm Creek Utility Authority meeting. Had a number of routine items. Things are going well with the wastewater treatment expansion. Had one change order there, but it wasn't terribly major. And saw our first preview of the 2027 budget. So there was that. And then also attended the meeting with the EPA representative that you set up. I'm going to let you expand on it, but I appreciate Mayor setting that up because as Councilmember David mentioned last time, through this reclamation project, if we can use the water in some way, either for drinking water or even an industrial use, that would be good. But appreciate the mayor attempting to not just take no for an answer on that and see what we can do, if not now, maybe down the road. And then last thing is this morning I got a nice note from a resident who said they were at Eagle Lake yesterday and there was a safety issue with the missing piece there where they had something to show that to not trip on that and it was missing. And she said she called about it and in less than 20 minutes, Public Works was out there with a cone and made sure people were safe out there. So that was a nice compliment to Public Works. So I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Great. Hey, thank you. Mr. McIntosh.
I spoke to a citizen who lives in the Aurora Park subdivision, and they're just excited that the project is nearing completion, or if not done. Thank you.
I think all of us are excited about that. So, Mr. Proctor,
No report, but thank you.
thank you. Mr. David.
I'll just add my broken record to the CCUA meeting that once again, the influent was above spec and the outflow was also not per guidance, beyond regulatory guidance. So thank you.
Hopefully we're going to get there. But, yeah. Mr. Dean.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I do have one item. Just a reminder that this Friday is the next meeting of the K254 Corridor Development Association. It's actually going to be at Park City's new senior center. As always, it's from 11:30 to 1, usually lunch, and then a meeting starts promptly. Join for updates if you're interested to hear what's going on with K254. And also, I'm sure you're going to get a chance to tour the new senior center if you'd like to. So all is welcome. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you. So move on to mayor's report. So I understand Councilmember Brandon McIntosh has a birthday coming up this week. So happy birthday to you, sir. And regarding meetings, we also have the Sedgwick County Association of Cities meeting on Saturday. It is also at the Bel Aire or the Park City Senior Center. So they're going to get a double duty tours this weekend. And it'd be kind of exciting for them that they've got this brand new center. On Thursday, April 23rd, I attended the CCUA board meeting as well. And Councilmember Hamburg mentioned this change order, it was for a variable frequency drive for the belt presses, and this will allow the staff to change the speed of these presses to better balance the process based on consistency of the sludge. We approved those and 2 purchase orders to rebuild a couple of pumps. And the reason that's kind of important, those are $24,000 just to rebuild those pumps. But they tell me the rebuilt pumps are actually better than the new ones. The new ones cost a little more money. So that's going to be a good thing for the utility. Budget, I did ask that they increase the cost for electricity as the upgrades for the wastewater treatment plant start coming into play later in 2027. So they're going to look at that. CCUA also hired its 6th employee, which was approved a couple years ago, but we're now seeing that we really need this person to because of the additional workload with the additional facility. And lastly, they starting to consider hiring a on-call engineering firm. So we had this a few years ago, but that contract expired without a renewal or replacement. So we're now looking at picking that up again. On April 25th, I attended the Lions Club fundraiser breakfast. Always good to support the Lions Club when they have these events, as they do a lot of work for the city. On April 30th, I, along with Council Member President Hamburg, met with the EPA that she mentioned. And so the issue there is that the EPA is doing a mitigation project that they're going to produce about 1 million to 2 million gallons of water a day. There's no reason I can understand that water couldn't not be given to the CCUA and used as potable water. But KDHE is balking at that, and we're trying to get to the bottom of why they're doing that. I have made a contact with KDHE. I've not gotten a response yet, so still working on that issue. So it'll probably be a little bit longer term, but we're working on it. EPA is not ready to start sending water to us. They haven't built the wells. They haven't done a lot of work that they got to do. So they're several months away from having any water available. So hopefully we can get this resolved before they start dumping the water down the Arkansas River. On May 2nd, I attended the tree board dedication of a tree for Cheryl and John Cutter. I did not personally know Cheryl. I understand she left the city employment in 2006. I did not move to Bel Aire until 2007. So former Mayor Lyle Ackerman did work with Cheryl while she was city clerk, and gave remarks about how she basically was the go-to person in the early years of Bel Aire. Well, they only had a staff of about 2 or 3 people in those days. It was a good tribute to someone who was intricate in the early years of the city's history. So I'll now ask our city attorney for her report.
Thank you, Mayor Benaj. At our last council meeting, there was a question about Senate Bill 418, what it involves and how it could potentially affect the city of Bel Aire. So I'm just going to give a brief summary on it. SB 418, which recently passed in April of 2026, is also being known as the Housing Development Act. SB 418 is known as the by right housing, where if a home, which would be a single family home, a townhome, if it meets the existing zoning and land use regulations for the government entity, so for the city of Bel Aire, that it would be approved by right. This is a very unique process because the goal of the legislation is to move the application, the review time, move it as quickly as possible. For example, the bill creates timelines for approval. 30 days are allowed for the standard application review, 60 to 90 days if there's any type of plat approval required. And if the city does not act upon it within that time frame, then the application would be automatically deemed approved. The purpose of this is because the legislature said there's a lack of housing. People need homes, they need to build, they need to move in, and they need to do this as quickly as possible. There's criteria in the bill that states that as long as the request means that the home is not requiring any type of federal or state discharge permits, that it's not trying to create any type of impervious surface areas and flood hazard areas. So those are good things that are being considered. that the legislature understands that there could be some issues that the municipality would want to consider. But the by right is really truly for single family homes, townhouses, as long as it meets existing zoning and land use regulations, then it can be approved. And the legislative bill requires it to be moved quickly for review. The other thing that I was going to mention is that in this specific bill, it talks about if a municipality has not adopted the 2018 International Residential Code, then the local government needs to. We are in the process of doing that right now. Currently, we have a 2012 edition. The code is being updated. The staff is aware of this. Staff has made a request for this update, so that is being done as we speak. So we will be in compliance. Will there be any negative consequences? At this point, we haven't experienced anything. When it comes through the standard application review, staff will review it. If this type of a home comes forward and it's brought forward to the Planning Commission, we will make sure to let the Planning Commission know about SB 418 and all its requirements. And then we'll bring it to the attention of the council as well.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate the information update. Look forward to you looking at code and see what we need to do to change it. So, okay, thanks. Mr. Henry, our city manager report.
Guess I got the wrong PowerPoint, but that's okay. I'll give a quick update. I know there's some individuals here that have some other issues to attend to. Started Woodlawn on April 20th. Phase 1 excavation has been completed. As you know, during this work, crews encountered some conditions that require additional evaluation and treatment. This will result in a short delay. City's working closely with the contractor and KDOT to resume as soon as possible. That message went out on social media today. And then last week, we had a great group of students from Sunrise Christian Academy volunteer their time for some cleanup around City Hall and the pool and other areas. On Shred Day, last Saturday, attended that. We had about 200 vehicles come through, 11,000 pounds were shredded. That's about 100 trees we saved in one day. That's pretty good. As Mayor mentioned, we also went to the dedication of the tree for Cheryl and John Cutter. Really appreciate Brian putting that on, and he said some really nice words, and I hope all the staff there realizes what they do really makes a difference, and it's a great event. Finally, chamber meeting this Thursday at 11:30 here at City Hall, and then there'll be the curbside cleanup on May 16th, I believe. So thank you, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you. So we'll move on to these. Well, maybe I will. There we go. Move on to ordinance resolutions, final actions, but I want to give everybody a few minutes to review the minutes of the Planning Commission meeting, being as you were just now handed those, so that we can move along with this, because we got 4 actions that I think are covered in those minutes. So please take time to review those and let me know when you're ready to proceed. So right here, public hearing, here, public hearing. We'll move on to item 11A. This is a special use permit request for retail use at 6315 East Crestmark. And the Planning Commission reviewed the request on April 9th and recommended approval with a vote of 6-0. There were no public comments and no major changes to the site are proposed. The Director of Community Development, Paula Downs, is here, and we will go through a script and then we'll entertain her discussions as the script goes through. So the Bel Aire Planning Commission recommended, as I said, the council approve the special use permit and allow the indoor retail store within existing vacant commercial building. Property generally, and I've already said where it was located. So just first item we need to talk about is disqualifications and declared and quorum determined. So does anyone on the council intend to disqualify themselves from participating in this case because they have a conflict of interest? And I just need a affirmative yes or no. No. Let the record show that no one has disqualified themselves. We do have a quorum, and so I will just state that we do that for the record. And then next we need to know, has anybody had any ex parte communications received or written or verbal, verbal or written prior to the agenda item, which they would like to share? And
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. David.
I did have a short conversation with a local business manager in that area. I just asked if he was aware of what was happening. That was pretty much the extent of the conversation.
Okay. Let the record show that Mr. David did state that he did have an ex parte communication with a business owner in the area. Have we had it, City Clerk, have we had any protest petitions in this case? No. All right. Let the record show that no protest petitions have been received. Having determined the valid protest, we don't have any, so I don't need to go on with that. Summary of a hearing. So as everyone in the council reviewed the unapproved minutes of the Planning Commission meeting for April 9th, 2025, and we just had that opportunity for you. Sorry that for the late delivery of those minutes. And the packet has been updated online. So if anybody in the public would like to read those, they are available online now. We'll let the record reflect that everyone responded yes to having read those minutes. Staff will first have the staff provide a report now, and then the applicant and any members of the public may speak in this case, provide their presentation to new information, not otherwise presented at public hearing. So we don't want a repeat of what was already told to the Planning Commission. And afterwards, council may want to direct questions to the applicant, city staff, or other persons present. So I'll let Ms. Downs please give her report from the city staff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The case before you was filed to allow the ability to have a retail store use in a commercial building here in Bel Aire, because the zoning district specifically doesn't set out that kind of retail use specifically. The property right now is zoned C1 neighborhood commercial, office, and retail, but a retail store is not listed in that district. So the application was submitted in the special use request was to have an indoor retail store specializing in sporting goods, firearms, ammunition, and related accessories that will operate within the existing commercial building. The existing commercial building's been vacant since November. It was previously a motorbike repair service shop and accessory retail store, something.
Well, they sold
previous.
motorcycles
They
there.
sold motorcycles and
They have a lot of
they
them in there.
serviced them,
Yeah.
yes. But it's been vacant since November. The Planning Commission reviewed the case. The applicant agent is in the process of purchasing the building. There was discussion about the requirements that the use be settled before they could move forward with purchasing and or operating this indoor retail sporting goods store specializing in firearms and ammunition. There was some discussion. There was no written requirement or written comments received prior to the hearing. Everybody in that district was notified and we're aware of that. We had nobody come from the public to actually speak against the use of that in a commercial building. The Planning Commission reviewed the general standards for consideration and the criteria for review as set forth in the conditional use permit process. And after considering the findings of facts provided in the staff report, which you also have access to in your packet, they approved it 6-0. So at this point, the staff is recommending approval of the special use permit.
Thank you. So just moving on with the script, and we will ask questions in a little bit if you have any. So have we received any written communication concerning this case? Let the record show no written communication was received. So is the applicant present? Would they like to make a presentation? Sure. Yeah, please come to the microphone. So, because this is recorded and online. So if you don't come speak in the microphone, nobody hears you.
Okay.
All right. Please state your name and
Okay.
business.
My name is Doug Myers, and I live in Kennewick, Washington. And I've had a retail gun store there for 20 years. I opened in October of 2005.
Okay.
And with the laws and the regulation within that state, you cannot run and make a profit. You can't stay in business. So for the last couple of years, we've been looking at other locations, other states. And for some reason, Wichita came up a winner. We've looked at, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Kansas, Utah, but it did seem like the area here has good gun laws, or, a lack of anti-gun laws, I guess you'd say. We love the area. We've been here like 5 different visits to look at different buildings. This building seems to be what will fit our needs. We have a very good reputation where we are in Kennewick. We've always maintained a very good relationship with Kennewick PD, as well as Benton County Sheriff's Department, along with also the ATF, the ATF would be the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, which is the federal regulators of firearms. And by maintaining, a good relationship, if there's any problems that came up, we were always the one to call them like, hey, we don't understand this law, or we don't understand what this is. And by being proactive on our side, we never had any issues. I mean, we would go to them and ask and say, hey, what's the answer, A, B, or C? And so I think that we would do the same thing here. We always had, kept their building clean. There was an alley in back of the building, and there were some homeless people in the area, and there'd be trash. We'd, police the area around their building and made sure that things are right. Treat the customers right, because your customer is what keeps you in business. So, I mean, I'm not a fly-by-night type of guy. Like I say, I've been in business 20 years. It's just time to move on. And my daughter's run the business the last number of years, and she's here tonight, but she would be the manager. And I'd be kind of more like the owner, but maybe not there every day type of thing.
Okay.
So
Well, that's good.
anyway, that's about what I have to say. And I thank you all for your consideration in this matter.
Well, thank you. And that's
Uh-huh.
a very impressive story. And I hope I can welcome you to Kansas and to Bel Air. So
Okay, well,
that's
thank
great.
you, sir. I appreciate that.
Good. All right. Is anybody here from the public that would like to comment on this case? Let the record show that no one approached to comment on the case. So we'll move on to council deliberations, and you may ask questions of Ms. Downs or the gentleman that's just spoken. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, but Doug Myers. I should remember that. That's an easy name to remember. Okay. So does City Council have any questions for either of the two?
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Hamburg?
I didn't see it in there. I think it's just retail sales, but just to confirm, there's not going to be a gun range or anything like, it's just sales. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that was not presented during the planning commission for deliberation, so I'm assuming no.
I actually had that question through an email, but that's fine.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Dean?
I did have one quick question. So I noticed in the packet, there was a comment about potential upgrades for security and storage. Can you just elaborate on, I know you got a lot of experience. Can you elaborate on what that might look like, just to?
They can, yes.
Yes, I will, sir. We were in the building today. We had a contractor come in to look. Well, the first thing is, like, we have ADT where I'm currently located. We'd have ADT because you want the glass breakage, the motion detectors, that type of thing. We're going to put in cameras for the outside. We'll also have bars on the window. We're going to put bars on the inside of the windows, not on the outside. And we'll make them look nice, because in the building I'm currently on in Kennewick, we have bars on the windows and the doors. And so that's just, you want to have different layers of security. So, like, okay, somebody comes up they want to get in the door, or they want to get in a window, they're going to have to break the glass. Your glass breakage would respond. Now they got to get through the bars. Whereas if the bars are on the outside of the glass, you could yank those off and break the glass. We looked at building a safe room inside the storage or a security, where at night, all the handguns would be taken out of the showcases, loaded onto a cart, and then moved into a separate building or a separate room inside the building with a locked door. So even if someone got in, they now still have to get through another locked door to get into that. At our current location, and this is kind of a cool thing, we have a cable lock, and at night we run the cable through all the trigger guards. So even if you get in and you grab 2 or 3 rifles, you're going to have tools or something with you to cut a cable. It's not this going to be where you could, what do they call it, a smash and dash, where they drive a car in, or they do things. But anyway, I mean, ADT security, the firearms put away at night into a safe room where they'd be, because most of the time they're going to be looking for either handguns or the ARs or the type of rifles. They're not typically going after the hunting type rifles. It'd be more of the semi-auto type of things. Is there anything else I could answer? I mean, I'm planning on having several layers of security and cameras. Again, like I expressed before, we had a very good relationship with KPD. I'd like to do the same here with the local police and the sheriff's office.
No, very good. I appreciate the explanation. I just caught that note and I didn't know what that meant. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Mr. Mayor
Mr.
and Mr.
David.
and Mr. Myers. One more. You also mentioned, or was also mentioned, sporting goods.
Mhm.
You're not going to be a Cabela's, but you're going to be a small store, some niche there. But
Yes.
what are roughly your hours, and what else do you sell besides guns?
Well, it would be like the hours that we currently have, we're open, would be like 10 to 6. And I see here the stores are a little bit different on hours, and we were always closed on like Sunday. And here I see some of the stores are open on Sunday. I guess I would still kind of prefer to be closed on Sunday for a number of reasons, but hey, make it easy. The employees need a day off. You know what I'm saying? The hours would be 10 to 6. Basically, I see some of the local stores open at 9, some close at 7. So, and what was the other thing you asked? Oh, what we were going to sell. Typically, what we were into is the hunting type guns and the collectible type guns. The black rifles, the Glocks and the SIGs and that. Why, we carried those, but we kind of we bought a lot of collections at times, and a collection can consist of anywhere 15 or 20 guns up to, we bought some collections that were bumping 100 or just slightly over 100 firearms. Most of the time we're buying from older guys, and who were, hey, I realize it's time. I mean, my kids don't want to inherit all of these, or my wife doesn't want to deal with the issue and they want to sell, So we were buying collections, and a lot of times you find there's 22 rifles, there's the shotguns, the pump shotguns, the single shot. You got the hunting rifles, you got the varmint rifles. We didn't seem to buy in collections a lot of AR type rifles or those kind of, but we did sell those. We have a fairly good presence on the like Gun Broker. That is an auction site. So, and that you don't actually sell to an individual. The individual is bidding on it and winning it, but everything has to be transferred from a federal firearms license, an FFL, to another FFL in whatever state. So all the laws are, applied to and that type of thing. But yeah, I think basically we used to have guys come in the store and they'd go, wow, this is a store like my dad or my granddad used to take me to in the 60s or the 70s, you know. And I'm not that old, okay? I'm a young guy. But I mean, what it comes down to, hey, we want to buy, sell, and trade guns, you know. So I guess, like I say, the hunting guns, whether, you know, duck or pheasant or hunting guns, deer or, you know, those type of things. And you know, get along with people and do the right thing. And a lot of times, I mean, you have people that come in and you just get kind of a gut feeling that something's not right here. And you avoid the issue of trying to sell them anything, and you try to make note of who they are. And as there was 6 firearms stores basically in the Kennewick area, which is called the Tri-Cities, which is Pasco, Kennewick, and Richland, Washington. It's where Hanford is located, if you know the Hanford nuclear site. So, but if we got a bad feeling about somebody that comes in, we'd call the pawn shop that was just down the street. We'd call 1 or 2 of the other gun stores. Hey, there's a guy in here and he's a little short, heavy set fella. He's wearing a, you know, red shirt with yellow pants, or, you know, you'd kind of describe the guy and here's what he's asking. And sometimes they'd call us, you know, and you didn't get a bad feeling, but you see what you think. And you'd always kind of, you can find ways to blow those off. So like I say, I've lived a long time. I've never been arrested, never gone to jail. And at my age, I don't want to do those things. And my daughter's the same way. We try to, you know, the golden rule, treat people like you want to be treated, and, you know, don't try to make all your money off of one person. You treat everybody with respect. You just make a little bit, and the volume will build itself. And I mean, I started with nothing 20 years ago when I first opened it. And when we, in the process of closing the thing, we've been very successful. And anything else, sir? Well, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I do want to say I encourage you to be closed on Sundays, but I know if it doesn't make business sense, it doesn't make business sense. So you have to make your own decisions there, but I do appreciate that idea. Okay. If there are no other questions for either Ms. Dean or Mr. Myers, we can now go on to council deliberations. And just a reminder, it would be inadequate in these zoning cases to vote just no or yes or no without discussion. The discussion has to provide the why the council approves, denies, or sends back to the planning commission. If there is ever an appeal, the court will read the minutes of this meeting to determine the why, and with the court using the reasonableness standard, discussing staff recommendations, the golden factors, and public comments, and anything else that helps the council make a decision. And that discussion of multiple considerations will provide the reasonableness a court expects to see. So, I'll let you then discuss whatever you want to say about this case. But just keep in mind, we do need to at least make note of golden factors in this. Mr. Proctor.
I think it's great. I'm excited to see another business come to Bel Aire. And I certainly am happy to welcome you. I guess we'll see what everyone else has to say about it, but having some retail down there in the industrial district is great. I think it's a great fit for a gun shop. Excited to have one in Bel Aire, but I don't have anything negative to say about it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. David.
I'll second that. Notice the planning commission passed at 6-0, considered all the several golden factors are listed. So I think staff and planning commission did a good job, did their due diligence, and I'm supportive. Thank you.
Do you want to repeat any of those golden factors that you think are appropriate? I'm just trying to help the record be a little
I do not have the list in front of me,
Okay.
other than the numbers, but
Okay.
no.
All right, very good. That's fair enough.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Dean.
I'll also say that I'd take the planning commission and the staff's recommendation, and then the fact that the retail aspect is appropriate for the businesses located nearby. Also considering the owner's experience and his explanation of how they were going to improve security and storage management. I'd be in support of this motion.
Ms. Sandberg?
I'll jump in. Yeah, Mr.
Sorry,
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to support this as well. I think it fits our comprehensive plan with more retail, and I don't think it'll be detrimental to the neighbors. I appreciate the explanation. And my husband grew up in Moses Lake, and they often reference Tri-Cities going shopping over there. So I appreciate your background about how you shopped around, and regulations matter. We're competing with other states. Maybe someday we won't have a state income tax either. We'd like that here, like you guys. So anyhow, I'll be supporting this. Thank you, Mayor.
Very good. Mr. McIntosh.
Mr. Mayor, yes, I'll also be in support of this based on our staff recommendation. I think they did a great job doing their due diligence, specifically on golden factors. Number one, the zoning supports this, and it fits the character of the neighborhood. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Does anybody would like to enter a motion?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Dean.
I'd move we approve the findings of fact and recommendation of the planning commission for SP-26-01, adopt the ordinance as presented, and authorize the mayor to sign.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Dean, a second by Mr. McIntosh. This is a roll call vote, so I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Okay. Mr. Greg David,
Aye.
Tyler Dean,
Aye.
Emily Hamburg,
Aye.
and Brandon McIntosh,
Aye.
and Mike Proctor.
Aye.
And the motion carries. Excuse me. Motion carries 5-0, Mayor. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. All right, move on to item 11B. This, there's a PUD preliminary plat for 53rd and Webb. During the building permit review for Building 2, staff identified that certain relief items shown during the preliminary plat stage were not formally approved in the original PUD agreement and final plat. At staff's request, the applicant has resubmitted a full PUD to address these issues. The Planning Commission reviewed the request on April 9th and discussed lighting and landscaping details and recommended approval. Again, Ms. Downs is here, and we also have a script for this one. Bear with me while I locate it. Okay. So the first item to ask is disqualifications declared a quorum. So does anybody here on the city council wish to disqualify themselves from this discussion or the vote, I guess, not the discussion so much? And let the record show that everyone said they were not going to disqualify themselves. Has anybody held any ex parte communications with verbal or written prior to this item? And let the record show nobody, all council members said they had no ex parte communications. So has the clerk received any protest petitions in this case?
No.
And the record show that there are no protest petitions filed in this case. So has everyone in the city council received the unapproved minutes of the planning commission for April 9th? And I think everyone has seen that now. So let the record show that all council members have reviewed those minutes. And the Now we'll ask for our Paula Dean to please give us Paula Downs. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna
I knew I had
respond
it
no
wrong,
matter
but
what,
I said,
so.
okay, what is her real name? Miss Paula Downs to give her staff report on this.
Mr. Mayor, you covered some of the background, but I wanted you to know that the application submitted was to address three basic issues, and that was to establish some parking standards for the development, establish the landscaping and screening standards, and establish some lighting standards. So as you stated, we had a building permit submission through MABCD related to building a second building. You'll look on if you look on the site plan, the intention in this PUD is to build a total of 5 warehouse type buildings on the property. They have a building 1 has already been done and is complete, and they submitted for building 2. During that submission, we ask always for a landscape plan and a site plan. And we discovered that some of the relief that had been previously presented through the preliminary plat process had not been formally approved through the final PUD agreement. And so we wanted to rectify that. And by doing that, what I did, and you can see this in the staff report, is that for the April 9th meeting, I set out what zoning code is and what their proposed PUD is asking for related to relief. So there are several items in there, all reviewed by the Planning Commission, and there was some discussion about some of the elements. Planning Commission, as you might know from reading minutes before, they're really concerned and wanting to make sure that any lighting put up on a site does not disturb those surrounding property owners. Across the street to the west, there is a housing development. So they had a little bit of discussion about the wall pack units on a warehouse or the parking lot lights, and wanted to make sure that those were contained to the site to not disturb either oncoming traffic or the development across the street. So they did have a couple of discussions around 2 of the relief concerns, the walk pack lighting, and then they got to talking about the landscaping, because there's going to be several trees on this property and the caliper of tree. So city code requires a certain caliper, a certain size tree, so that when it grows, it can provide the screening and some of those kinds of things on the site. They were proposing a lower caliper of trees. The applicant's agent stood before Planning Commission and said that those were 2 issues that they could and look at remedying, so that the trees that are currently planted on the site and the ones that will come following they'll have a continuous look to them, right? That the trees will appear and be good screening. So there was discussions. The Planning Commission did approve the case 5-1. We had one commissioner who was concerned about the number of relief being requested. I will point out that this is a very large site. It's a large PUD area. It is industrial. It is in, the Sunflower Commerce Park. It's not unusual to see some of these reductions, especially how the site's been used. So based on that, the Planning Commission meeting, the commission discussed concerns. They got some updates made. They were reflected, but they approved it 5-1. And I'm standing here today saying that the city staff also would recommend approval of this PUD case. And the representative is here, so he can also answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Before we'll ask him to come up, do we have any written communications regarding this case? No? Okay. So just let the record show that there were no written communications received. So if the applicant would like to present anything, please come to the podium and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you got going here.
Yeah, this was presented in 2024, and there was just some formalities that weren't exactly T's crossed, I's dotted, and this is formalizing all of that.
Okay.
Basically, as it was presented, we had an overall landscape plan that a lot of the notes that are reflected on this PUD now basically put that verbiage onto the PUD document as it was presented in that landscape plan. Same thing with some of the lighting. A lot of the things that are in note form on the current PUD were in the development agreement. They're just basically putting it in the correct package is what this formally is doing.
Okay. Well, we appreciate getting that done, because has not been in the right places sometimes has caused problems. So
Yeah,
that's
understood.
Good. Okay. Thank you. All right. So are there anyone from the public who'd like to speak on this matter? I don't see any, so I'll assume that there are none. So does anyone have questions of Ms. Downs or the applicant here? And I'm sorry, I don't have your
I'm
name.
sorry, Kurt Hershey. I'm with Tesserae,
Okay, thank you.
representing the applicant.
Okay, thank you. It's Kurt.
Kurt, yep.
Thanks.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Dean.
I did have one clarification. Kurt, the trees, I know that was one of the items that was discussed at length, the number of trees and then where they're at. So from my understanding, the tree number that was discussed and agreed to would be along Webb, and sort of the intent is to screen for properties across the street. There isn't an intention to put any trees along 53rd because that's within the industrial park, but I just wanted to clarify kind of the layout of the trees.
So the internal loop road is where these street trees would be, along Webb Road. And then there are some, I believe, along 53rd.
Gotcha.
And we followed, the discussion with the planning commission was around the caliper size.
Right.
We were just asking for some relief due to the number.
Just a sheer number.
Yeah, the sheer number. And the applicant was okay with following code and going to that larger caliper size.
Gotcha. That's all I was kind of curious about, was just clarification on that. Seemed like all the things that you guys discussed and worked through were all realistic items to go through on a larger site such as this with the larger buildings. So appreciate you guys working with them on that.
And the wall pack lighting, we just gave clarification that those cast downward, not necessarily outward. And they're there for security and safety reasons. When you have people coming in early or late, you need to be able to see ingress, egress doors.
Just to give everybody perspective, if you haven't seen these buildings, the ones that you've already built is 500,000 square feet, right?
It's 215,000 square
Oh, it's
feet.
215. Okay.
215.
So that's still a fairly large building, and the others are all going to be similar in size. So
Yes.
these are not small buildings. Pushing a lot of trees in there is kind of an expensive process for a large building like that. But so anyway, I'm glad we were able to work through all that issue for you.
And the applicant does pride themselves on the appearance of these buildings as well. I mean, you got a lot of storefront glass and tilt-up concrete with some mixed color, a little bit nicer as far as a warehouse goes.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you. Any other questions or concerns for the applicant or Ms. Downs?
I
Mr.
do have-
Parker? Oh,
I was just going to say, sounds great.
okay. Okay, Mr. McIntosh.
One further point of clarification. It was also talked about the light poles will be at purchaser of the building's discretion. Has it been formalized what type of light poles those will be, making sure they'll cast downward and not across street?
So we left that at well, partly the planning commission had voiced that they didn't want too much lighting. That was part of it. But it really boils down to what type of business, because these are speculative warehousing in nature. You don't know exactly what's going to move in there. If they need a lot of light, they would do a photometric plan to meet their lighting needs. So basically, if their safety security says you need to have this much coverage and illuminated this much, it would be at that photometric plan's decision making. So it would tell you what height and how far out it casts. And that's something that would get reviewed during the building permit application process as well. So if there is concern from city staff, it could be voiced at that point in time with that photometric plan review.
Okay, thank you.
I do know, and I'm not making a plug for any particular company, but I do know that there are companies that say they have lighting systems that don't have light pollution across the street even. So I don't know. I've not ever seen that, but maybe you've investigated some of those.
Yeah, I mean, you just really want to limit your heights more than anything else. I mean, the height of the pole to make sure you're not casting. Especially, we're conscious of the residential to the west of us. I know it's commercial that's directly up against Webb Road, and then there's residential behind that, but we're cognizant of the neighbors.
Yeah.
We don't have any light poles included right now. It is just the wall packs around the exterior of the building. Those light poles would come whenever a user says we need more light in our parking lot. We're trying to limit that light. The concern of the planning commission.
Great. Okay.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I guess I'll start deliberation. So I certainly appreciate you guys going through all that and cleaning up the T's and the I's and all that stuff. Um, you know, obviously these buildings are an industrial park. They fit the character of the neighborhood, the requirements of these buildings, you know, the zoning and the use fits our comp plan because this is the use that we intend in the industrial park. And I don't see any negative impact on the fact that we reduce trees marginally for this larger site. I don't see any negative impact for folks across the street. Webb's a pretty significant arterial street, so I think getting a significant amount of new trees along that route is good. So appreciate you guys working to have a good looking site. So I'll be supportive of this for all those reasons.
Mr. Mayor, also support it for, just the reasons stated, and that the applicant was so willing to work with us, in the planning committee, and the way that they made sure that the landscaping was right and checked the lighting, and appreciate the applicant working with that. And it definitely fits the plan for the industrial park. So I'll support.
Great. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Hamburg.
I appreciate, when I was reading through this case, I sort of had similar feelings to the dissenting commissioner about, we have these really complicated rules, and if we're always deviating from them. But when you look at the case overall, the spirit, I think staff even used that term, the spirit of the code is being fulfilled here. And that, if I remember right, like there are going to be hundreds of trees along in this property when it's all over, right?
I can't speak to the exact number. I just know that the spacing is 1 every 50 linear feet. So
Yeah. So I think it fits our comp plan and staff's professional recommendations. So I'm going to be supporting it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
McIntosh.
I'll just echo the previously stated things. It fits character of our neighborhood, fits the character of the neighborhood, and fits within our comp plan. And appreciate you working with us. I'll be in support of this.
Mr. Proctor.
I'm supportive. Thanks for coming out and dotting the trees and crossing the i's.
Very good. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Dean.
I move we approve the findings of fact and recommendation of the Planning Commission for PUD-26-01, adopt the ordinance as presented, and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Dean, a second by Mr. David. This is another roll call vote, so I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Mr. Greg David,
Aye.
Mr. Tyler Dean,
Aye.
Ms. Emily Hamburg,
Aye.
Mr. Brandon McIntosh,
Aye.
and Mr. Mike Proctor.
Aye.
And the motion carries 5-0, Mayor.
Very good, thank you. So I see
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to publicly thank Kurt and Tesserae guys and my staff for that. It's very difficult in our position when you say, okay, we need to go clean something up, and everyone on board and does it. So I just want to recognize that. I appreciate it, Kurt.
Okay, great. And it is much appreciated that we've got that task done. So thank you for all the work you guys have done on that. I see Miss Catherine Schlemsky has arrived, and so I would like to go to executive session.
Can we do the last planning? We got a representative here to.
Oh, okay.
I'd rather have.
So you want to do item C?
Yes, please.
11C? Okay, we'll move on to item 11C, and then we'll move to executive session. So this item is for a new gas station and convenience store proposed at the corner of 45th and Woodlawn. This vacant site was first platted in 1953, and that was before City of Bel Aire was a city. The developer is requesting an amendment to the PUD. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on April 9th and recommended approval. Staff also recommends approval and the condition that final drainage plan be approved by the city engineer. So again, Ms. Downs is here, and we have another script we need to follow on this one. So we'll follow the script and let her interject at the appropriate time. So first of all, disqualifications. Does anyone on this council wish to disqualify themselves from this matter? Okay, let the records show that no one is disqualifying themselves. Has anyone on the council received any ex parte communications?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Dean?
I did have some brief communication with one of the consultants that's helping the developer, reached out to me. Just confirmed I was aware it was coming before us, was looking forward to learning more about it, and I remain open-minded to the item. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Appreciate your disclosing that. Let the record show that Mr. Dean did express that he had some ex parte communications. Any others that wish to disclose ex parte communications? And I see none, so we'll move on to protest petition. Has the clerk received any protest petitions? Thank you very much. Let the record show that no protest petitions have been received. So Ms. Downs, would you like to give us a summary of the proposal?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The reason for the request is to amend the existing PUD to allow Lot 5 to be expanded and developed as a gas station convenience store use. That's currently not a use that is permitted by right in this particular zoning district. And then they had two methods for relief. One is from setbacks and landscaping and screening regulations. So if you can look in the report from the April 9th Planning Commission meeting that the setbacks that they're requesting are reduced. Part of it is because of the way that the site is. There's a large right-of-way carved out of that lot for the woodlawn and future woodlawn expansion. And so for the use for this site required some reduction in requesting for setbacks and then also landscaping and screening. So on the north side, the zoning code would require one shade tree and one ornamental tree for every 3 shade trees. But in this instance, on the north side, they're asking for the evergreens to be planted because they're trying to avoid the larger tree roots where there's actively utilities in that easement. So there was a lot of discussion with the Planning Commission related to traffic moving around the site. There was a discussion and a recommendation related to reducing one specific setback on the east side from what was requested to a more minimal setback, which was approved. So the Planning Commission talked a lot about how the traffic was going to flow there, the setbacks, how it's going to fit into that lot, into the neighborhood. But it's currently zoned appropriately. As you said, it was platted in 1953 and has been sitting vacant ever since. So we're glad to have some motion and movement on that. That the landscaping and screening meets the spirit of the code and to provide the screening that's needed just in a different way. And then the setback relief will provide sort of that appropriate traffic flow on the site and access to the property, not only from Woodlawn and 45th. So we're recommending approval. I did put in the condition related to the final drainage plan for the site being approved by the city engineer. There has been great strides and we have resolved a lot of the drainage. There is a detention pond on the lots next door, which was intended to take that, and it turns out that it will be able to, and there's going to be some landscape and vegetation planted in the swell and et cetera, just to meet all those requirements. So we're recommending approval tonight for this case.
Very good. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I
Oh,
do
I'm
have
sorry.
one more. I remember that Councilmember Dean did reach out today, and on page 3 of the site plan that was presented, there was a notation related to a screening fence being installed. So right now there is landscaping being called out. We don't know what the intention of the owners are. This is a PUD site plan, not a full landscape site plan that we would review at building permit time. So if they are going to install a fence, typically we have parameters for screening either through landscaping and or fence. It's set out in the code, and so far that they're not asking for relief to not follow the code related to the screening that may or may not be installed, and it has to be appropriately the fence has to be appropriately installed according to what the code sets out based on what they're wanting to do. And I hope that answers your question, but we will have more specifics related to that once they submit for a building permit. Councilman.
All right. Thank you. I may have neglected to ask or just make note that everybody's had a chance to review the Planning Commission notes for this case as well, because it's all in the same notes, April 9th, 2026. So just wanted to make that statement for the record. So Written communications, have we received any written communications regarding this case? And let the record show, no written communications have been received. So does the applicant wish to make any presentation? And please state your name so we know who you are, okay?
Sure. Matthew Tucker with BHC, 165 South Rock Island Avenue here in Wichita, agent for the applicant.
Thank you.
First, appreciate you guys taking the time to hear this and work through things with us. I'm going to do my very best to not recap everything that was already discussed at the Planning Commission as asked. But I would like to take a moment and highlight a couple of the findings of fact that support the site and the Planning Commission's approval. A couple things that we spent some time focused on, and I know there was a lot of work back and forth with city staff around, the engineering aspect and site plan approvals and that sort of stuff. But there was some focus during the discussions about landscaping, setbacks, and safety. And with the landscaping adjustments asked, it's not really an ask for a reduction, but more an ask to work with the size of the site and the parameters of the site so that we can ensure successful screening and healthy trees, but still, allow for utility access and maintenance of the site and maintenance of the things that serve the area. So we're not looking for a reduction that leaves you with a site that doesn't fit the neighborhood, right? We've got to be cognizant of our neighbors. When we talk about the setbacks and the safety of the site, it was kind of an interesting discussion at Planning Commission. We came in asking for a smaller reduction than what the Planning Commission actually ended up asking us to go ahead and ask for, which is very unusual. I don't usually run into that, but it was all focused around safety and success of the site. It was focused around making sure that the site layout would work and that knowing how a C-store operates, that not only could cars successfully navigate around the pumps and move in and out of the site, knowing that one of the entrances wasn't really a full movement entrance and the other was. And, there's some human habits that you have to be cognizant of and make sure that people can get back to that full movement entrance. And so it was really good discussion, but it was focused around the safety of those that were moving through the site. And then also knowing the difficulty of getting a fueling truck in and out of small sites. This site is particularly small because, as mentioned, it was platted back in '53 and it's been vacant for a long time. There's been 2 right-of-way takings carved out of it. And so it just, keeps getting tighter and tighter. And that's where that setback discussion really originates from, is just trying to be successful with a safe site that serves the community. This is an opportunity to get something in a place that's been vacant for a very long time. And the C-store is going to bring an amenity to the community that they don't currently have in that area. I think everybody's going to benefit from it. So I'd be glad to stand for any questions.
Well, very good. Thank you. Well, I'm excited to have some development go there as well. And so we'll move on to public comments. Are there anyone from the public that wishes to comment? I think that we've probably exhausted that question, but we have to say it for the record. So it's time for City Council to deliberate on this matter and remember the golden factors, and I'll let you say what you want to say. Mr. McIntosh.
I just have one question pertaining to screening on the west side. We have some new development immediately to the west of this site, and they look like residential homes. Their back porch will be directly facing this site. And so I want to make sure that we'll have good screening for those homes and we won't have light shining in their back doors all night. Is that the case here?
Yeah. So I'm glad you bring that up. There's a lot of discussion as of late about light concerns and things, and it's warranted, right? I personally have dealt with a neighbor who had a light shining into my kid's bedroom. And so, if you head it off at the pass, it's always better than trying to resolve it after the fact. There are requirements within the current regulations for site lighting. As mentioned earlier, photometric plans are created and have to be approved. But additionally, within the zoning, lighting is not to be outwardly shined. It's to be screened and projected down. The development of LED lights has done wonders for that because they're directional instead of spanning out as a traditional iridescent or fluorescent light will. But I would not anticipate lighting to be the problem there because there's an intention of long-term vegetative screening there. So you'll see on the site plan, and Paula had talked about it a little bit earlier, right now it's indicated a solid screening fence and vegetation there. There are allowances within the code to handle screening by adding additional vegetation beyond the base requirements to address screening and provide that buffer between different zone lots or even similar zone one. And so right now, my understanding is that they're looking at the fencing option. It is, I'm with the surveying firm, not the engineer doing the site design. So I can't speak directly to what the end result would be. But I would imagine that it would be preferred to have solid screening as well as trees versus just vegetation, because that tends to help with security and people not wandering across backyards and whatnot. But I can't say that that's for sure the route they'll go.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question.
It somewhat answers my question. I guess a follow-up question for Paula then. Will we have the opportunity to review that plan before it's approved, or is this it?
No, this is just the PUD case. So when they actually submit to build the building permit process, they will produce full plans, landscape, site, all of those. We review it, fire department reviews it, and everything is reviewed before it goes through and comments will be made. So if there's something that doesn't meet the code or there's something outside of that, then we catch that during the review process and it has to be modified before it's approved to build.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Dean.
Councilman McIntosh, I'm glad you brought that up. That's actually why I reached out to Paula to ask the question to clarify the solid screening fence, because I didn't know what that term fence meant, if it meant a hard masonry wall, if it meant a chain link fence. I didn't know, but it sounds like that's going to get resolved at a different stage. So I'm comfortable knowing that there's some intention there that there will be screening, landscaping, and potentially a fence or wall. So we can kind of handle that when we cross that bridge. So I really appreciate you responding to me. So I at least had that coming in. And so with that said, I'll at least kind of kick us off on some discussion. I am excited about this. I think this will be Bel Aire's, at least as far as I know, first potential convenience store if we were to approve it. To me, it meets the comp plan, and it's at a major intersection, a commercial corner, if you will, adjacent and across the street from two other commercially developed properties. It fits our comp plan because we've said that we want more retail. This is exactly that. It's retail. I like the idea of solving the concern I have with the residential to the west with some sort of screening, which we'll be able to resolve later. And I'm also really excited to see that we were able to work with the adjacent property on the drainage concerns and utilizing that retention pond so that we can make best use of the area. So based on the Planning Commission's recommendation, staff's recommendation, and all those items, I'll be supportive of this.
Very good. Thank you. Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Hamburg?
I don't know if it's appropriate to even ask it now, but residents will be curious with Woodlawn reconstruction going on and eventually 45th. Do you have any idea on the timeline? I know this is just the PUD case tonight, but do you know how quickly this might be moving forward?
I keep hearing it's going to be very quickly.
Okay.
He's anxious to move forward and move through the process.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Any other comments or questions? If none, then we can move on to a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. David.
a motion to approve the findings of fact and recommendation of the Planning Commission for PUD 2602, adopt the ordinance as presented and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Motion by Mr. David, a second by Mr. Dean. This is a roll call vote, so I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll. You get to do this a lot tonight.
Mr. Greg David,
Aye.
Tyler Dean,
Aye.
Emily Hamburg,
Aye.
Brandon McIntosh,
Aye.
Mike Proctor.
Aye.
The motion carries 5-0, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to now move on to an executive session, and we'll come back to item D after the executive session. I'd like to ask for executive session for item 12A for 30 minutes to discuss the Woodlawn matters.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Hamburg.
make a motion to recess into executive session to discuss with legal counsel and receive legal advice related to pending litigation. The discussion will be pursuant to KSA 75-4319B2 for legal consultation with Neil Gosh, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. Invite Neil Gosh, Catherine Klumsky, city manager, city attorney, and city engineer. The meeting will be for a period of 30 minutes, and the open meeting will resume in the city council chambers at 8:50 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Hamburg, second by Mr. McIntosh. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. An executive session for 30 minutes. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting back to order. We held an executive session. No binding action was taken. And we're ready to move on to item 11D.
We can go back to let's go back to the agenda.
Yeah, 11D. D as in dog. Okay. All right. So this has to do with airport hazard zoning regulations. And the Airport Zoning Commission has considered these regulations. They are now come before City Council for final approval. And the city attorney has the detailed report in your packet and is available for questions. And I think I have a script for this one as well. Just have to get to it. She gives me lots of paper tonight. Okay. So we got to go through the same routine, disqualification. Anybody on the council wishes to declare themselves as disqualified to hear this case. And let the record show that all the council members are saying they are not going to declare themselves as disqualified. And there is a quorum, so we are good to go with the quorum. Ex parte communication. Has anyone on the council had any ex parte communications related to this matter? Let the record show all council members are saying or indicating that they have not had any ex parte communications. Move on to protest petitions. Have we received any protest petitions? And let the record show that no protest petitions were filed. And has everyone read the unapproved minutes of the Planning Commission meeting from April 9th, 2026? I assume this was in those minutes.
These are actually attached to the packet.
They were in the packet. Okay, so they were in the original packet. Okay, thank you for the correct clarification, because that's really a different meeting, same group of folks, but different meeting for airport zoning. Okay, thank you for that that they were clarified that they were in the packet. So has everybody had a chance to read through those and is familiar with them? Very good, thank you. So just let the record show that all council members indicated they have had a chance to review the Airport Zoning Commission meeting here minutes. Staff report, I assume that our city attorney is going to provide the staff report on this case.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Kansas statute gives us the step-by-step process for how a government entity can adopt airport zoning regulations. How did this even come about? The city of Wichita reached out to the city of Bel Aire and asked the city of Bel Aire to consider airport hazard zoning regulations, considering how close the city of Bel Aire is to Jabara Airport. The steps began, people spoke to one another. Eventually, we had a draft ordinance. And then when you look at statute, it states that the city must have an airport zoning commission. That was step one for the council. And the statute also said that your planning commission can act as your airport zoning commission. This was presented to the Airport Zoning Commission, also the Planning Commission. They heard the first public hearing. They received a preliminary report. They discussed it. They shared some questions. They shared some concerns. Then we moved on to the second public hearing with the final report. And they ultimately made their vote to recommend to the City Council to approve an ordinance adopting the airport zoning regulations. I would like to bring your attention just three things. One, the Planning Commission, which was acting as the Airport Zoning Commission, had a concern wondering if the water that is so close to Jabara Airport, is it possible that it attracts fowl, birds, so much to such a degree that it actually affects Jabara. As a result of that concern, I did reach out to the operations manager of Jabara. He really appreciated being contacted and wants to be a good neighbor. They had no concerns at that time. The second item asked by Planning Commission is, well, what about lighting for any new businesses? What about height restrictions, again spoke to the Jabara operations and discussed what the proposed ordinance and had no concerns at that time. Third was, well, is this something that we are going to have to update regularly over time? And I've spoken out to other cities and also operations. And at this time, there was no indication that that would be so. What you're seeing is a proposed ordinance. You're seeing a final report, 2 public hearings that have been involved. And not only has City of Wichita been involved, but also engineer, also operations manager. This is really the most updated product that we can provide to council. If you have any questions, I'm glad to answer them.
Any questions concerning this matter for Maria?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. McIntosh?
Maria, if I am reading this map correctly, it looks like in terms of the height restrictions, Sunflower Commerce Park falls into areas C, 100 feet or less. Is that a correct interpretation of this map?
I believe so, because there were no issues with Sunflower shared. I believe
Okay.
Planning Commission discussed that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, we don't want any landing gear hitting trucks, which happened the other day. Surprising, but anyway, okay. Any other questions concerning this matter? Move on, written communications. Have we received any written communications? Let the record show that we have not received any written communications. And I see no one from the public, so record show no one from the public appeared. So ready for council deliberations, same rules as we've done all night long with 3 other issues. So just state your thoughts and positions and we'll move forward.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Dean.
certainly appreciate staff working with the airport authority and Jabara and anybody at the city. Certainly makes a lot of sense that we would want to do this to protect the safety of and well-being of aircraft as well as folks on the ground. And obviously we're a growing city and we'll have a lot of development that's north of Jabara and maybe someday even further east. So appreciate the time and effort put in. It makes a lot of sense when we live next to an airport that we'd have some regulations regarding airports. So glad that we're able to fill that gap that we've had, and obviously makes sense for us to do so. We'll be supportive of it.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Hamburg.
I was just going to say, I appreciate Planning Commission being so thorough, even about the pond, and Maria reaching out and just like she said, everybody being a good neighbor, and appreciate Planning Commission wears a lot of hats now, now that we have all of these different boards and commissions. So appreciate their work on this, and I'll be supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or concerns?
Mr.
There are.
Mayor.
Mr. David. Oh, Mr. Dean? Okay,
Yep.
I'm sorry.
I move we approve an ordinance establishing airport hazard zoning regulations and authorize the mayor to sign.
I will second.
Motion by Mr. Dean, a second by Mr. David. And this is a roll call vote again, so I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you. Greg David,
Aye.
Tyler Dean,
Aye.
Emily Hamburg,
Aye.
Brandon McIntosh,
Aye.
Mike Proctor.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Move on to item 11E. So this is consideration of change order on engineering investigation of 45th Street. Garver is currently designing the roadway and storm sewer system for 45th Street between Woodlawn and Oliver. During design, several locations were identified where the storm sewer will cross or run adjacent to existing utilities. Hydro excavation is being used to expose these utilities and to better determine their depth and location. During this work, NOWAC, the current firm that we contracted to do this, performed an additional pothole to locate a water line running east-west on the west side of Oliver. This additional work was brought to the city engineer's attention by Garver and approved prior to completion. So Ann Stevens, our city engineer, is here to discuss and answer questions.
So you'll have to forgive me. This has been like almost 5 months ago. But yeah, as the mayor said, there was an additional pothole that was needed. We did obtain a cost from NOAC. I went ahead and authorized the work and we got it done. As we were going through our checks and balances, it was brought up that because the motion was written in such a way, I believe it said not to exceed a certain number, any change orders, I have now learned, need to come back through council. So council can approve that change order since council approved a not to exceed amount. And Maria is the one that's helping me with my education. So if you have anything further to add to kind of clarify what I've stated so far, that would be great.
Just to clarify, this work has already been done.
That is
So we're
correct.
now coming back and asking council to approve
That
what's
is
already been
correct.
done. Okay, thank you.
Just trying to make sure we get our paper trail correct when the auditors come.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Hamburg.
make a motion to approve change order number 1 in the amount of $1,550 with NOAC Construction Company, increasing the hydro excavation contract not to exceed amount to $60,450 and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Hamburg, a second by Mr. Proctor. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries 5-0. The next item is 11F. So on March 23rd, 2026, the city received its engagement letter from our independent auditors, AGH, for fiscal year 2025. The engagement letter outlines the scope of the annual audit, the responsibilities of the auditors, and the responsibility of management, all services included in the annual audit. So this is a two-phase audit. If you could help us understand that, Mr. Henry, that would help.
Sure.
a lot.
And I was really wanting to make Barry sit in the audience till today and to get up here, but I think I'll carry the water for him. Typically, we have the normal audit. This is a pretty standard letter. It runs about $38,000. We budget for it with the base grant coming in mainly in 2025. That's about a $4.5 million grant. An extra emphasis comes from the federal government when you take funds, and that's called a single audit. It's a little more stringent. They look a little bit further deeper into your processes and your pull more samples, those types of things. Look at all array type of stuff just because we have federal funds flowing through our city, and that's what the extra expense is.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. David,
I'll motion to approve the engagement letter with Allen Gibbs and Hulick LC for 2025 annual audit services at a cost not to exceed $46,825 and authorize the mayor to sign.
Mr. Mayor, second.
I have a motion by Mr. David, a second by Mr. Proctor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries 5-0. Move on to item 12B. This is another executive session. We need 15 minutes for this one.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. McIntosh.
move to recess into executive session to discuss the performance of non-elected personnel, including but not limited to the city manager. This discussion will be pursuant to KSA 75-4319B1 to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel. Invite the city manager and city attorney. The meeting will be for a period of 15 minutes, and the open meeting will resume in city council chambers at 9:22 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McIntosh, a second by Mr. Dean. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We're in executive session for 15 minutes. I'm going to call the meeting back to order, held in executive session, no binding action was taken. I think Mr. Proctor would like to make a motion.
Oh, I would indeed, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to recess into executive session to discuss the performance of non-elected personnel, including but not limited to the city manager. The discussion will be pursuant to KSA 75-4319B1 to discuss personnel matters, non-elected personnel. By the city manager and city attorney, this meeting will be for a period of 15 minutes, and the open meeting will resume in city council chambers at, what is that?
9:40?
Now I'm adding too much. It's late.
9:40?
9:40 sounds good.
Okay.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Proctor, second by Mr. David. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
I was doing so good.
I'm going to call the meeting back to order. We held an executive session and no binding action was taken. Ready to move on to discussion of future issues. So city council workshop and our manager just walked out the door. I do know that next week we will be talking budget. I think it will primarily be chaired by Barry Smith, our financial director. Anything else you want to add to the city council workshop?
So May's going to be, I'm going to have all the department directors come up and give kind of a 10-minute presentation on where they're at operationally and just give an overview. And then June is going to be the kind of the kickoff to our budget season. And that's one I think Barry will probably primarily chair for me.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, so any questions about what we're doing workshop wise? Okay. The other issue that just when we had our workshop in April, we talked about plot cameras, but we didn't conclude for city direction, staff direction as to where we want them to go. And I didn't get the feeling that there was overwhelming support for or overwhelming support against plot cameras. So I just want to kind of get a consensus of, is there overwhelming support for this idea or against it? I will share with you something that was shared with me today from our police chief.
I got copies, Jim.
Okay, well, I can just read it.
Yeah.
So in 2025, the Bel Aire Police Department handled a total of 5,912 calls for service, resulting in 996 criminal cases. Of those, approximately 200 cases, about 20% involved circumstances where a suspect vehicle was likely part of the offense and could have been supported by license plate reader technology. These numbers highlight a measurable gap in investigative capability. In roughly 1 of every 5 criminal cases, officers are working without a key piece of information tied to suspect identification. Access to vehicle-based data in these cases could significantly improve the speed and effectiveness of investigations, leading to quicker suspect identification and stronger case outcomes. And I appreciate the chief putting that information together. Basically, that says about less than 4% of the cases they handle might be augmented by this type of technology. So that's I didn't get these other pages.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's fine. So that's what police chief has to say about it. I know he's a strong supporter of this technology. I do not support it. I've said that before. I think that it walks all over Fourth Amendment rights. And I think we have an obligation to protect citizens' Fourth Amendment rights to unreasonable surveillance. So that's my position. But, it's the city council makes these decisions, not me. So that's why I'm asking you for some direction.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
question to clarify. You said 4% might be affected?
Less than 4% of all
Of cases?
of the 5,912 cases.
No, those were calls for service.
Yeah, of those calls for service, right?
So those are people just calling the PD.
Right.
Those,
I can't,
So it said-
I'm not going to qualify what that statement means. You have to talk to the chief of what
It
that
said
statement
out
means.
of that 996 criminal cases, of those approximately 200 cases, or about 20%, involved circumstances where a suspect vehicle was likely part of the offense and could have been supported by license plate reader technology. So that's
Yes, we just
one
read
in,
that.
that's a 20% increase on investigative power for the workforce.
Right.
For our PD.
Yeah, we just read that. Yes.
That's very different than 4%.
4%, less than 4% of the calls for service. Okay, is what it
Those
is.
those are different numbers.
Yeah, they are different numbers, but they're all based upon the same information, same data points.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm in support of it. I think
Okay.
our PD needs the help.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I would say that this isn't going to replace good police work, but it does provide a tool that will provide leads. But good police work is still required using those leads, whether it's a lead that's a call from a person that saw something or whether they got a license plate flag in the technology. To me, it makes sense to support our PD having those tools, it is our expectation that they utilize that technology correctly and that we have policies in place to protect that. I would also say there is no expectation of privacy on public roads, and that's where these will be installed. They will read license plates and vehicle identification only. I would be in support of it because I believe that it would help our PD with a tool, and I think it would be beneficial and help solving crime or even preventing crime potentially. So I would be willing to have more discussion about it. I'd like to see it as an item we could vote on in a meeting.
Yeah. All right. Just to correct, I know that you said that there's no expectation of privacy. Two Supreme Court justices have a different opinion about that. Flock cameras have never come before Supreme Court, so they've never made a ruling on it. So I won't tell you what they will say. But two of them, one conservative and one liberal, have both said they suspect this technology violates Fourth Amendment.
I mean, the license plate has to be legible by law. It's a registered vehicle. To me, there is no expectation of that being private on a public road.
No,
That's just my opinion.
that is on.
But that's what I'll say.
The continuous surveillance is the concern, but
I don't see it as continuous surveillance personally, but that's my opinion.
okay, that's fine. Thank you.
I was just going to say, like I said, in 2023, I don't think this is a slam dunk. I have concerns about the abuse that's happened, the privacy concerns, the technology we have where, yes, you're in public with a license tag, but the data analysis can drill you down. I think there are legal cases maybe hanging out there where this is going to get challenged. I'm concerned from a risk management standpoint. But you're not unreasonable if you're on the other side of this issue. For me, right now, I'm not convinced that 5 cameras in the city of Bel Aire with our current crime rate is worth the risk for me. And so I'm still opposed to these at this point. I thought Councilmember Proctor brought up a very good point. Are we kind of being low rents, free riding people, not doing this where we benefit from those around us? There are hundreds in the area, and Chief wants to put up 5 cameras. I don't think our status as good neighbors or not. We help out with drones and the sex trafficking in Park City and the graduation fight at 21st and Hillside a few years ago. I don't view this as that riding on it. I know that we have some residents that are for this, some that are strongly against it. So at this point, I wouldn't support it, but it's an equation. I think most of us are weighing multiple things here. And, long before we became Detroit or St. Louis, you'd probably find me possibly flipping on this from a risk reward standpoint. But at this point, I would not support flock cameras at this time.
Mr. Mayor, I had one clarification I wanted to make with Emily. So I did speak with Chief. I called him actually after the workshop and asked him specific questions about the benefits. And one of the things I uncovered in that discussion was we don't currently benefit from the full capability of the 200 plus flock cameras in this area because we don't have full access to it. It's sort of a one-off and as asked. And if we had those cameras installed and had an agreement both ways, we would get full capability and access. And so that kind of alleviated a little bit because I was openly questioning the benefit of 5 cameras during the workshop. Is this a big enough needle mover? And when I heard him say we would get full access to those and they would get full access to ours, it does allow me to start seeing the true benefit of the system. And one thing that I think Mike brought up actually during the workshop, I'm a little concerned with as we develop more along the highway and there being just the easy access on and off and through our community with all of the things we've heard with human trafficking and drug trafficking. And I don't want to see that uptick. I'd rather see us manage that, whether that's with more officers, more patrol cars, more equipment, more technology, so that we can manage that appropriately. Hopefully it doesn't have a significant impact. So having that discussion with Chief, asking him a couple questions, getting that verified did kind of help me kind of go, all right, I was kind of on the fence, but that's kind of what maybe made me lean towards seeing the benefit of it. I have also heard from citizens on both sides. Doesn't feel like there's a huge outcry. I've had maybe half dozen emails, from both sides of saying, yes, we'd love it. And here's why we don't. it's basically the same things being said on both sides. So I appreciate both sides too. So thank you for saying that. But I wanted to clarify that comment with some of the background I got from Chief.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because the other side for me is opening it up to I trust our police department. I think we have a really good culture here, and I don't know how many other police departments our size have a chief of 44 years that has such a distinguished career. If there's anybody out there that I would trust to implement it, would be here. I don't love the idea of opening it up to the hundreds of officers, in other cities. So at this point, I'm just opposed to it. So thanks.
And I will say, the guy that came in from, clear 2 time zones away to try to scare us about legalities around this. Look, most cities, there's tons of cities that use this system. We're not going to get singled out or scooped up in some like this is not that. I think those scare tactics are silly, in my opinion. So this is to protect our citizens, is to get with the program with what's actually being done, and not to be a weak link. So,
Mr. McIntosh.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to say I'm still on the fence.
Okay.
I agree with everything Emily said. I trust our police force. Opening up to the hundreds of officers in towns around us. I don't know if I trust the city of Wichita as much as I trust the city of Bel Aire Police Department. I also see the benefits of the system, right? If we could get full access to the hundreds of cameras all around us, absolutely that has a benefit. And Chief even gave us some numbers of the benefit to help us calculate an ROI. The risks for abuse of the system still scare me a little bit. So I'm still on the fence.
The only thing I can add to the debate, I see both sides, of course, is that my emails are 5-1 against it. So I'm getting a different group of people. The only way I would vote for it is if we had another public forum like we did for the bike path, and I saw that the people of Bel Aire really wanted it, because what I'm seeing is that they don't.
Very good. Thank you.
I would agree, Greg, that we haven't heard from enough citizens because whether you got a half dozen or a dozen emails, that's not a good representation of the entire community. So I would agree with having potential input from the community if that would help. But I would really just like to see us hash it out. Let's put it on an item to discuss, and let's everybody get serious about doing our research and figure out what side we're on.
Are you suggesting another workshop to have that discussion, or do you want an agenda item on a city council meeting?
Well, I guess I would lean towards what's the consensus? Do we want another workshop? We had a workshop on it already. Chief already gave us his thoughts. He's given us data. I don't know that we need much more follow-up from staff on it. I think we know staff's opinion. I think I said earlier, let's just get it on and let's vote. Everybody do your research, figure out what you want to vote, and let's just vote it.
It's my understanding, and I'll follow up on this, that Flock recommends themselves a community engagement process before you implement these.
Yep.
And I'm frankly, I don't have my hands totally around what, I know they say they don't sell your data. I don't know what they, obviously they share it with other agencies and they control it. I visited with Maria some. I don't have my hands totally around that. That's something that I would need more info on. But I agree. I don't think we need to beat this out in another workshop. We either need to have a consensus that we want to vote on it, or there's not the interest. But we probably should have a community open house style thing about this.
I agree with you about the legal piece. I said that at the workshop. I actually spoke about that specifically with Chief. I would not be comfortable voting it unless what came before us was an agreement that we vetted pretty cleanly and we could all be comfortable with what data protection there is. And I think what I understood during the workshop and then later talking with Chief is who gets it is who we want to get it. So we would agree with Wichita. They would get our data. They would get ours, vice versa. You know, where that goes would be a policy decision that we would have to talk with Chief about or trust Chief, because Chief would want to know, you know, the highway impacts are going to lead you to wanting to coordinate with Butler County and City of El Dorado. Like there's impacts that he's going to see that we don't, potentially that you'd want to share. So maybe it is worth another workshop. to chat it out with chief about what the policy might look like, what the people that we might share it with. Maybe that is a good, I'm glad you brought that up. Maybe it's better to have more of a question and answers with chief again to vet that out further before we go any further
It could be like a public forum
with
workshop.
with the public hearing or what, however that would look.
And I was a little more concerned about the company of Flock itself, some of their practices. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't impressed in 2023 that they just put those 5 up. Not criticizing our staff so much as Flock's business practices to just put those up with no input from governing body or residents. So I'm a little
I wasn't a big fan of that.
weird, yeah. So.
So I'm hearing 3 different directions.
Maybe a
Go where we
workshop.
are.
I'm not sure you resolved it. Yeah, we can.
I would like to vote on it, but if having a workshop to discuss it with chief to get our hands around what the contract stipulations that we would like to like, and we would need to see the contract and talk with Maria before that to kind of throw out, here are the things that we have an issue with on the Flock contract. I'd be open to having a discussion with chief just to bounce ideas of what a policy looks like. Cause they already have a policy. I visited with him about their current
Right.
policy and how this fits that. And I mean, he brought up things like we have lots of tools, right? We have guns, we have cars.
Yes.
Some of these can have big impacts on people, right? But we work through how that's solved as a police force. So maybe it's worth having a workshop with chief just to explain what our current policy is. And if we need to make any adjustments to it to include this technology, or if it's already covered, maybe that's worth it. I would be willing to do, I think that's a good idea to do a workshop with chief, maybe a contract, some sort of a contract input from you would be appropriate at that meeting. And then that would be before we would have it on a future council meeting for a vote, just to get us more educated on it.
Or you could vote first before you assign the staff. Yeah, I can see that both ways too.
I can't figure out what the consensus is right now. I'll just be just in the interest of everybody's time. I would not at this point, with my concerns and risk management and current crime levels in Bel Aire, I wouldn't support it.
Well, I'm hearing at least 3 council members saying they're favoring a workshop with public input and a review with the chief. So I'm going to suggest that maybe that's what we go and do.
That's kind of what I was
I'm
getting.
sorry?
That's what I was getting as well.
Yeah. So let's do that. And we need to get the word out that we're having that workshop for public input. We may get a lot of people, we may not, I don't know. Based upon, I've gotten a couple of emails, but it hasn't been overwhelming one way or the other. It's been kind of 50-50, but so I don't have that feel either from
Show
the
us there'd be
folks.
crickets that night. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how that will work out, but we'll see how it goes. So I'll let the city manager determine when that is the best time to put that in, because I know he has a few things to take care of on workshops. Okay.
As a practical thing, where could you fit this in before budget season or after?
I mean, we're in July, August timeframe already. We can always do that. I mean, honestly, with September being when budgets are due, budget season starts now and doesn't end until September. So
Right.
it's always budget season for the next 3 or 4 months. So we can always add something to a general conversation.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think there's any rush. I think we have something that's a little higher priority that we're working on currently, trying to finalize. So I think fitting it when it fits, not forcing it, it's fine.
Okay. All right. So we'll let the city manager determine appropriate time for a workshop on this. Move on to, are there any other issues or that we need to discuss for future issues or any of those things? If not, move on to adjournment.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. McIntosh.
move we adjourn.
A second.
So, have a motion by Mr. McIntosh, second by Mr. Dean. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Too bad. That motion carries 5-0. We're adjourned. See everybody.